French election are in, and Emmanuel Macron is the projected or the official winner of the French election. I'm going to wait until a few more people get in, and then I'm going to talk about what this means exactly and how the mainstream media is lying about the French election as well, like they lie about everything, unfortunately. So of course I gotta be here and tell the truth because they can't tell the truth. Alright, so people are here. So Macron officially won the French election. He is the winner. Marine Le Pen has lost. And I want to talk about a few lies that the mainstream media is pushing now that he's won. Well, first of all, if you look in the New York Times, USA Today, all of these news sources, they're calling Macron a centrist. They keep calling him a centrist, like he's the center, like he's the perfect candidate. He's not left, he's not right, he's a centrist. You'll see that label in all mainstream media. And it's a total lie. He's not a centrist. He's not like a libertarian or like a very, both sides type of guy. He's a complete neoliberal bank puppet. He's a puppet of the big banks. He's a puppet of the global powers. People like Obama and the Democratic Party who pretend like, oh, everybody's interfering in our elections. They lost because nobody likes them. Everybody finally woke up to how corrupt they are. They lost and they blame everyone else for the election. Meanwhile, Barack Obama intervened in the French election by, of course, co-signing Macron. And he told everybody in France, vote for Macron because that's what they do. They control you socially. Obama's a cool, likable guy, so he's got people in France who like him. So he uses that power to support Macron. Why did he support Macron? Because they're clinging on to the power that they're losing. Donald Trump won in the United States, and that kind of ruined the whole global regime. They have this whole idea of what they want to do, and then they try to silence everybody else and get into power. So Macron got into power. The good news is they don't control America, at least as much as they used to anymore. With Donald Trump there, Marine Le Pen lost, and Macron is in. But I do want to say, whether you voted for him or not, I don't know enough about both candidates because I'm not in France. I'm not paying attention to it. But don't believe for a second that he's a centrist. He's not a centrist. He's a complete puppet of the banks, and he's a neoliberal puppet. And to let you know what neoliberals do and why, you can make your own decisions, but why I don't advise supporting the neoliberal or neoconservative regime is because what they did during Obama's 8 years is they started expanding war in all the other countries while nobody was paying attention. They gave equal rights to the LGBT community and let them get married. So that's all that people were paying attention to. They're like, oh yeah, gay and lesbian people can get married now. Great, that's cool. Much love and respect to that community. But while they were doing that, nobody realized they went from Afghanistan and Iraq to Libya, Somalia, Yemen, Syria, and now they're Pakistan. They're all over the Middle East, and nobody's paying attention. So that's Macron, that's Obama, that's what they do. They throw little social things at you like, oh my God, this, that. They talk about race, religion, sex, try to get you all amped up, turn you against each other, begging for new rights. Meanwhile, they're just expanding war and just completely destroyed the Middle East. They completely destabilized it. And here's the biggest deception of all that neoliberals do. So that's what they did. That's what Obama and Hillary Clinton did, and even George Bush. They destabilized the Middle East, and they caused a severe refugee situation. They caused it. They made it way worse. They're the reason that there's refugees. Instead of just countries that are a little bit corrupt, now there's a bunch of refugees that they created. Now here's where the flip goes. Now they act like people like Marine Le Pen and Donald Trump are crazy for trying to protect their countries from the refugee situation that they created. Trump didn't create the refugee situation. Marine Le Pen didn't create the refugee situation. Obama and the globalists, the bank puppets, and the neoliberal regimes that run the world and are trying to have a whole new world order, as they used to call it. Now people call it, a globalism. Whatever you want to say, there's a power that runs the world. Fueled by the United States, fueled by the intelligence communities, fueled by, people like Macron, and they got people all over the world. So they created the refugee situation, Obama, Hillary, and then they act like Trump and Marine Le Pen are xenophobic and racist because they want to protect themselves from the extremist ideology that has been fueled because of all of the missteps that they've taken in the Middle East. So Trump and Macron Trump and Le Pen are racist, sexist, and xenophobic because they're trying to protect themselves from the neoliberal disaster. So Obama, Macron, Hillary Clinton, people like that, they create the refugee crisis, and then they act like it doesn't exist. They're like, what do you mean? Like, let's bring these people here. You talk to people in Syria, you look at the people that are the refugees, they don't want to be refugees. They don't want to come to the United States. It's a fake progressive mentality that all of the fake progressives in the U.S., that's why I don't really support the progressive movement. They say, bring them here. We got to bring everybody here. We don't have borders. We don't have, we have no laws. Everybody could come here because we're all immigrants. That's the deception. That's the lie of the fake progressive in the United States, because not one, it's an arrogant and an ignorant ideology to think that everybody just wants to come to the United States, like grabbing them out of their countries and forcing them to the United States, forcing them to France and Germany and Sweden. I've seen a lot of undercover journalism where they go to Sweden, France, Germany, and these refugees don't want to be there. It's a stupid thought that we got to bring them here, we got to save them. They don't want to come here. They said just stop funding terrorism. Obama was funding terrorism. Hillary Clinton was funding terrorism. John McCain wants to fund terrorism. They created terrorism. These terrorist groups, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, it's been many times confirmed that they're actually funding them. So you saw, I reported there was a big CNN story last week that an FBI translator went rogue and married somebody in ISIS. She didn't go rogue. They work with ISIS. They're practically co-workers, so that wasn't a surprise. So meanwhile, all of that's going on. Nobody's paying attention because they throw little chips at you like, here, gay and lesbian, you can get married now. Cool, that's great. Much love and respect, but just because you can get married doesn't mean you shouldn't pay attention. Just because you feel, oppressed by the system, because the system has tended to be, racially fueled, and it's a pyramid, so if you're not at the top, you're going to get oppressed. They throw little bones at you so you don't pay attention to the whole picture, what's going on. And that's the fact that they created a massive refugee crisis, and now they want to act like everybody who talks about it is racist, sexist, and xenophobic. Like it doesn't exist. They're like, what are you talking about? Just bring these people here. They don't even want to come here. And meanwhile, there's reports that in Sweden, France, and Germany, while I think absolutely we should help as many people as we can, we should look at other options. Like, first, we should stop funding terrorists, stop giving terrorists weapons, and stop pretending like, oh my God, we're trying to stop the terrorists. Donald Trump may be the first president who didn't want to fund the terrorists, and that's why they're freaking out. You notice he threw some bombs at Libya, and they were cheering because that's all they want him to do. They don't care about you. They don't care about your family. They don't care about what sex you are, what race you are, what religion they are. They care about bombing and continue to destroy the Middle East. They want to destroy the Middle East, make more refugees, make radical terrorism more common. Meanwhile, they act like the heroes, and they're like, oh, no, but look at me. I'm a woman. I'm half African American. I can't be racist. I can't be sexist. They'll just throw someone of a race and religion at you. So, and then they're like, well, we just let, the LGBT community get married. So come on, and then you got Joe Biden. He's like, come on, I'm Joe Biden. Meanwhile, they're destabilizing the Middle East. They're increasing radical terrorism, and they're acting like it doesn't exist because it's a situation they created. And that was Marine Le Pen. She was very, I would say, extreme to an extent of saying, no, we're not allowing radical terrorism into the country. And, they called her racist and sexist. Does she talk about it how I would talk about it? No, she doesn't. I would talk about it a little more respectfully, but I also have the privilege of living in the United States of America. I'm not in the Middle East. It's easy for us to say in America that all this stuff's not happening because we're not in Europe. And there's some people in Europe who say it is happening. There's some people who say it isn't. I'm not saying I'm the be-all, end-all, but I'm saying a lot of the people in the United States that are saying, well, bring all of the refugees here. We're all immigrants. We're all human beings. They have no idea what's going on in the Middle East. They don't know who's truly running the world. They don't know about neoliberalism. They don't know about the military-industrial complex. And they certainly haven't talked to people who live in those countries, because anytime I meet somebody, that's a male or a female, young or old, that came from Iran, that came from Iraq, that has family in Syria, that knows what the Middle East is like, they don't talk like these people who are like, bring everybody here and let's ignore all logic and facts and let's pretend like the past regimes that have been running the United States haven't been funding terrorism. anybody who's from the Middle East, they have a little bit of a different opinion because they've seen it. Out here, we had a big parade in Los Angeles to remember a remembrance for the Armenian genocide. In Los Angeles, we have a huge Armenian community, much love and respect to them, and when the Armenian genocide remembrance comes around, they all drive around the streets with the Armenian flags waving, and it's a big event out here in Los Angeles. They want people to remember the Armenian genocide. I started researching the Armenian genocide, and it's pretty crazy. What they did was first, it was a regime that was Ottoman, I guess, and it was Muslim. It was a Muslim-based regime. They rounded up all the intellectuals and community leaders. They took the smartest Christians from the area. They're like, okay, if you're smart, if you're an intellectual, think about it, apply it to what's happening today. If you're smart, we're going to, round them all up. They rounded up all the intellectuals, all the community leaders, and they killed them and exiled them. And then they genocided over 1.5 million people. But no one talks about this. No one knows about this. This is a real thing that happened not too long ago, and a lot of our history is focused in one way. They, especially in America, they try to just make you hate yourself, like the people who discovered America, like they were the only ones in the world who's ever done anything wrong. That's what United States books teach you. So all of this stuff is kind of conditioned. There's things in the media, there's things in school. They get you to believe their way, and I'm not here to tell you to believe what I believe, but I'm saying that Macron is not a centrist. He's a total globalist puppet. I'm saying when it comes to Trump and Le Pen, I'm not saying to agree with what they say. I'm not saying to not be critical of how they're speaking, but to completely ignore it and to completely just like go along with these fake neoliberal puppets who they'll give you marriage rights, they'll give you some social freedoms, they'll fund your activist groups and make you feel like, oh my God, yeah, they have my back. They totally don't, because at the root of the problem, they're the ones causing the problem. They're creating the crisis, they're creating the refugee crisis, they're creating the destabilization, and then they're pretending like it doesn't exist, and they're pretending like anybody who talks about it in any sort of way is racist, sexist, xenophobic. And this is the root of censorship. This is the root of Orwellian times. I wanted to say too, I mentioned a video yesterday, I talked about H.A. Goodman and the Young Turks. H.A. Goodman called out the Young Turks because as many people, conservative and progressive. Alright, sorry, I got cut off, so I'm back real quick. I just want to say a few things before I end this live stream. I just had to move to get better service. Okay, so H.A. Goodman called out the Young Turks, and there was a YouTuber who was maybe more conservative, made a pro H.A. Goodman video, and he critiqued the Young Turks. That video got taken down from YouTube, and he appealed it, and they wouldn't let him put it back up. So apparently now critiquing the Young Turks in any way, like everybody makes all these videos critiquing CNN, New York Times, all that. That's all good, whatever. That's cool. It's critiquing Fox News. When you critique the Young Turks on YouTube now, apparently it's against community guidelines. So I just want to let you know all of this stuff is total. There's a lot of deception going on. They're trying to silence people on YouTube and Facebook and all these other platforms. Luckily, I don't have that. I don't feel censored. I'm good. But they convince you that everyone's sexist, racist, xenophobic. They use, fake social justice, fake feminism, fake progressivism, fake environment, fake scientists like Bill Nye, his whole new show. Even people who are like scientific are like, what is this stupid show? Like Bill Nye is a total fake shill. They use all of these fake people to convince you that everyone else is terrible, that people are going to die. Meanwhile, they're doing all of the most destruction. So support your independent journalists. Support your independent, brave journalists, whether they're progressive or conservative. If they're honest progressives or honest conservatives, honest libertarians, make sure you support them and make sure you see what's going on, because they want people to have a gang mentality. They want to control your mind so much that you're like, that person's racist, that person's xenophobic. Meanwhile, they're creating all of the root issues. So that's the censorship that's going on. Macron officially won France. That's cool, but that makes me want to even stand stronger here in the United States, because right now, Donald Trump is the only chink in the chain. And this is my plea, or not even plea, this is my true conversation to people who are progressive, who hate Donald Trump very, very much. They're like, a lot of the fake progressive movement, as I call them, the not H.A. Goodmans, they're all talking about, well, you know, I hate Trump, this and that, because he doesn't have the agenda that they want. That's fine, but you might reap what you sow. If you try to get rid of Trump, he's the last one. He's the last chink in the chain. All progressives know how dangerous the neoliberal regime is and know how dangerous the Democrats are and the globalists are, but they act like they want Trump gone. So if Trump wasn't there, they would have a complete control over everything. The Trans-Pacific Partnership, the TPP, research it, a trade deal would have passed, and the global powers would have even more power. And these are the people that destabilize the Middle East, that have been lying to you for 20 to 50 plus years, if not more. So that's my plea to progressives. Pay attention, because you guys act like you're so progressive and you want to drag Donald Trump down. Meanwhile, you guys are the most stubborn and stupid ones, because if Donald Trump wasn't here in the United States, they'd have a complete control over everything. Marine Le Pen lost, they have Macron, they have Merkel, they have a lot of Europe. You know, they point the finger at Vladimir Putin, and they try to get Donald Trump out at all costs. So, you know, I'll still hold it down here and tell the truth about what's going on, because a lot of fake progressives, a lot of fake independent journalists, all they do is trash Donald Trump, and they act like if he was gone, it would be any better. It would be a lot worse, and they would have complete control, and they would continue to try to censor journalists and censor independent media like they've been doing. So also keep an eye on Julian Assange too, because Julian Assange is someone who doesn't really even like Trump, but look at how he talks. He doesn't bash him that much, because he knows what's really going on, and he knows how dangerous the opposition is, and he knows that albeit that he doesn't like Trump and he doesn't agree with a lot of sentiments that Trump has, like I do. Julian Assange is one of the best, you know, brightest minds in journalism and in like helping the entire world. So keep an eye on what he says, because he doesn't trash Trump like the fake progressives do. Alright, so that's my talk about Macron, about censorship, and about what's going on today on Sunday. Much love. God bless you and your family. Have a good week, and I'll be back with more videos soon. I also have a new Patreon. If you want to be a part of that, I'm going to post the link right when I'm done. It's going to make sustainable stuff, but if not, don't worry. I'm not stopping. I'm doing some private stuff for people in the Patreon account, but people ask me, does that mean you're stopping making videos? Absolutely not. If you don't give me a single dime, it doesn't matter. I'm going to still make a lot of videos. I'm going to do a lot of live streams. I'm going to increase my workload. All this is going to do is there's going to be more free videos for you, not less. So much love. Have a good day.